Is it okay if I just say the Al-Fatiha?
Yes, of course, of course.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes.
Okay.
Praise be to-
Will you remind me where we started reading or we left off reading yesterday?
We stopped yesterday at Al Furqan chapter 25, so we're gonna start with chapter 1. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. Yes, ma'am.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for praying. It will be like at 6:01, or no, 6:04. Inshallah, waiting for a few people to come in.
Yes, ma'am. What page is Al-Furqan on?
717.
Thank you. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina sirata mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen.
Ameen. In the name of Allah, beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of my friend Muhammad. And I also bear witness that the Honorable Oh, I'm just gonna
You just have to turn the sound down on your other device. Augustine, are you speaking?
I'm sorry. It was too much noise. I'm sorry. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. I also bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the exalted Christ, and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan is our Messiah in our midst. Assalamu alaikum, family. Can you hear me, Sister Victoria? Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Walaikum
ma'am.
salam.
Hear you.
Okay, praise be to Allah. Is there anyone that would like to read this morning? Or is able to read? Because me and Sister Victoria can't today. Would anyone volunteer?
I can read.
All praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Mariama. And if anyone else would like to read, just press 1 or reader, and then you'll be next. Thank you, Sister Mariama. I'm about to start sharing, and then you can start reading.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Chapter 25, Al-Furqan, the discrimination. Section 1, a warner for all nations. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Blessed is he who sent down the discrimination upon his servant, that he might be a warner to the nations. He, whose is the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, and who did not take to himself a son, and who has no associate in the kingdom, and who created everything, and ordained for it a measure. And they take besides him gods who created not, while they are themselves created, and they control for themselves no harm nor profit, and they control not death, nor life, nor raising to life. And those who disbelieve say, this is nothing but a lie, which he has forged, and other people have helped him at it. So indeed they have brought an iniquity and a falsehood. And they say, stories of the ancients, which he has got written, so they are read out to him morning and evening. Say, he has revealed it. Who knows the secret of the heavens and the earth? Surely he is ever forgiving, merciful. And they say, what a messenger is this? He eats food and goes about in the markets. Why has not an angel been sent down to him to be a warner with him? Or a treasure given to him, or a garden from which to eat? And the evildoers say, you follow but a man bewitched. See what parables they set forth for thee. They have gone astray, so they cannot find a way. Section 2, Truth of the Warning. Blessed is he who, if he please, will give thee what is better than this, gardens wherein flow rivers, and he will give thee palaces. But they deny the hour, and we have prepared a burning fire for him who denies the hour. When it sees them from a far off place, they will hear its raging and roaring. And when they are cast into a narrow place thereof in chains, they will there pray for destruction. Pray not this day for destruction once, but pray for destruction again and again. Say, is this better or the garden of perpetuity, which the dutiful are promised? That is a reward and a resort for them. For them therein is what they desire to abide. It is a promise to be prayed for from thy Lord. And on the day when he will gather them, and that which they serve besides Allah, he will say, was it you who led astray these my servants, or did they themselves stray from the path? They will say, glory be to thee. It was not beseeming for us that we should take for protectors others besides thee, but thou didst make them and their fathers to enjoy until they forgot the reminder, and they became a lost people. So they will give you the lie in what you say. Then you can neither ward off evil nor obtain help. And whoever among you does wrong, we shall make him taste a great chastisement. And we did not send before thee any messengers, but they surely ate food and went about in the markets. And we make some of you a trial for others. Will you bear patiently? And thy Lord is ever seeing. Part 19, Section 3, the Day of Discrimination. And those who look not for meeting with us say, why have not angels been sent down to us, or why do we not see our Lord? Indeed, they are too proud of themselves and revolt in great revolt. On the day when they will see the angels, there will be no good news for the guilty, and they will say, let there be a strong barrier. And we shall turn to the work they have done, so we shall render it as scattered motes. The owners of the garden will on that day be in a better abiding place and a fairer resting place. And on the day when the heaven bursts asunder with clouds, and the angels are sent down as they are sent. The kingdom on that day rightly belongs to the beneficent, and it will be a hard day for the disbelievers. And on the day when the wrongdoer will bite his hands, saying, would that I had taken away with the messenger? Oh, woe is me, would that I had not taken such a one for a friend. Certainly, he led me astray from the reminder after it had come to me, and the devil ever deserts man. And the messenger will say, my Lord, surely my people treat this Quran as a forsaken thing. And thus have we made for every prophet an enemy from among the guilty, and sufficient is thy Lord as a guide and a helper. And those who disbelieve say, why has not the Quran been revealed to him all at once? Thus that we may strengthen thy heart thereby, and we have arranged it well in arranging. And they cannot bring thee a question, but we have brought thee the truth and the best explanation. Those who will be gathered to hell on their faces, they are in an evil plight and straying farther away from the path. Section 4, a lesson in the fate of former people. And certainly we gave Moses the book, and we appointed with him his brother Aaron, an aider. Then we said, go you both to the people who reject our messages. So we destroyed them with utter destruction. And the people of Noah, when they rejected the messengers, we drowned them and made them a sign for men. And we have prepared a painful chastisement for the wrongdoers. And Ad and Thamud and the dwellers of Ras and many generations in between. And to each we gave examples, and each did we destroy with utter destruction. And indeed they passed by the town wherein was rained an evil rain. Do they not see it? Nay, they hope not to be raised again. And when they see thee, they take thee for naught but a jest. Is this he whom Allah has raised to be a messenger? He had well nigh led us astray from our gods had we not adhered to them patiently, and they will know when they see the chastisement who is more astray from the path. Hast thou seen him who takes his low desires for his God? Wilt thou be a guardian over him? Or thinkest thou that most of them hear or understand? They are but as the cattle, nay, they are farther astray from the path. Section 5, a lesson from nature. Seest thou not how thy Lord extends the shade? And if he pleased, he would have made it stationary. Then we have made the sun an indication of it. Then we take it to ourselves, taking little by little. And he it is who made the night a covering for you, and sleep a rest. And he made the day to rise up again. And he it is who sends the winds as good news before his mercy. And we send down pure water from the clouds, that we may give life thereby to a dead land, and give it for drink to cattle and many people that we have created. And certainly we repeat this to them, that they may be mindful, but most men consent to not, but denying. And if we pleased, we could raise a warner in every town. So obey not the disbelievers, and strive against them, a mighty striving with it. And he it is who has made the two seas to flow freely, the one sweet, very sweet, and the other saltish, bitter. And between the two, he has made a barrier and inviolable obstruction. And he it is who has created man from water. Then he has made for him blood relationship and marriage relationship. And thy Lord is ever powerful. And they serve besides Allah that which can neither profit them nor harm them. And the disbeliever is ever an aider against his Lord. And we have not sent thee but as a giver of good news and as a warner. Say, I ask of you not in return for it except that he who will make take away to his Lord, and rely on the ever-living who dies not, and celebrate his praise. And sufficient is he as being aware of his servants' sins. Who created the heavens and the earth and what is between them in 6 periods, and he is established on the throne of power, the beneficent. So ask respecting him, one aware. And when it is said to them, make obeisance to the beneficent, they say, and what is the beneficent? Shall we make obeisance to what thou bidst us? And it adds to their aversion. Allahu Akbar. Section 6, the transformation wrought. Blessed is he who made the stars in the heavens and made therein a sun and a moon giving light. And he it is who made the night and the day to follow each other for him who desires to be mindful or desires to be thankful. And the servants of the beneficent are they who walk on the earth in humility. And when the ignorant address them, they say peace. And they who pass the night prostrating themselves before their Lord and standing. And they who say, our Lord, avert from us the chastisement of hell. Surely the chastisement thereof is a lasting evil. It is surely an evil abode and resting place. And they who, when they spend, are neither extravagant nor parsimonious, and the just mean is ever between these. And they who call not upon another God with Allah and slay not the soul which Allah has forbidden, except in the cause of justice, nor commit fornication, and he who does this shall meet a requital of sin. The chastisement will be double to him on the day of resurrection, and he will abide therein in abasement. Except him who repents and believes and does good deeds. For such Allah changes their evil deeds to good ones, and Allah is ever forgiving, merciful. And whoever repents and does good, he surely turns to Allah, a goodly turning. And they who witness no falsehood when they pass by what is vain, they pass by nobly. And they who, when reminded of the messages of their Lord, fall not down their at deaf and blind, and they who say, Our Lord, grant us in our wives and our offspring the joy of our eyes, and make us leaders for those who guard against evil. These are rewarded with high places because they are patient and are met therein with greetings and salutation, abiding therein. Goodly the abode and the resting place. Say, my Lord would not care for you were it not for your prayer. Now indeed, you have rejected, so the punishment will come. Chapter 26, Al-Shuara, the Poets. Section 1, the prophet is consoled. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Benignant, hearing, knowing God. These are the verses of the book that makes manifest. Perhaps thou wilt kill thyself with grief because they believe not. If we please, we could send down on them a sign from heaven so that their necks would bend before it. And there comes not to them a new reminder from the Beneficent, but they turn away from it. They indeed reject, so the news will soon come to them of that at which they mock. See they not the earth, how many of every noble kind we cause to grow in it? Surely in this is a sign, yet most of them believe not. And surely thy Lord is the mighty, the merciful. Section 2, Moses is called and sent to Pharaoh. And when thy Lord called Moses, saying, Go to the iniquitous people, the people of Pharaoh, will they not guard against evil? He said, My Lord, I fear that they will reject me, and my breast straightens and my tongue is not eloquent, so send for Aaron too. And they have a crime against me, so I fear that they will kill me. He said, By no means, so go you both with our signs. Surely we are with you, hearing. Then come to Pharaoh and say, We are bearers of a message of the Lord of the worlds. Send with us the children of Israel. Pharaoh said, Did we not bring thee up as a child among us, and thou didst tarry many years of thy life among us? And thou didst that deed of thine which thou didst, and thou art of the ungrateful ones. He said, I did it then when I was of those who err. So I fled from you when I feared you. Then my Lord granted me judgment and made me of the messengers. And is it a favor of which thou reminds me that thou hast enslaved the children of Israel? Pharaoh said, And what is the Lord of the worlds? He said, The Lord of the heavens and the earth, and what is between them, if you would be sure. Pharaoh said to those around him, Do you not hear? He said, Your Lord and the Lord of your fathers of old. Pharaoh said, Surely your messenger who was sent to you is mad. He said, The Lord of the east and the west, and what is between them, if you have any sense. Pharaoh said, If thou takest a god besides me, I will certainly put thee in prison. He said, Even if I show thee something plain? Pharaoh said, Show it, then, if thou art of the truthful. So he cast down his rod, and lo, it was an obvious serpent. And he drew forth his hand, and lo, it appeared white to the beholders. Section 3, Moses and the enchanters. Pharaoh said to the chiefs around him, Surely this is a skillful enchanter who desires to turn you out of your land with his enchantment. What is it then that you counsel? They said, Give him and his brother respite and send heralds into the cities, that they bring to thee every skillful enchanter. So the enchanters were gathered together for the appointment of a well-known day, and it was said to the people, Will you gather together? Haply we may follow the enchanters if they are the vanquishers. So when the enchanters came, they said to Pharaoh, Will there be a reward for us if we are the vanquishers? He said, yes, and surely you will then be of those who are nearest to me. Moses said to them, cast what you are going to cast. So they cast down their cords and their rods and said, by Pharaoh's power we shall most surely be victorious. Then Moses cast down his rod, and lo, it swallowed up their fabrication, and the enchanters were thrown down prostrate. They said, we believe in the Lord of the worlds, the Lord of Moses and Aaron. Pharaoh said, you believe in him before I give you leave? Surely he is the chief of you who taught you enchantment, so you shall know. Certainly I will cut off your hands and your feet on opposite sides, and I will crucify you all. They said, no harm, surely to our Lord we return. We hope that our Lord will forgive us our wrongs because we are the first of the believers. Allahu Akbar. Section 4. Moses is delivered and Pharaoh drowned. And we revealed to Moses, saying, travel by night with my servants, you will be pursued. And Pharaoh sent heralds into the cities proclaiming, these are indeed a small band, and they have surely enraged us. And we are truly a vigilant multitude. So we turned them out of gardens and springs and treasures and goodly dwellings, even so. And we gave them as a heritage to the children of Israel. Then they pursued them at sunrise. So when the two hosts saw each other, the companions of Moses cried out, surely we are overtaken. He said, by no means, surely my Lord is with me. He will guide me. Then we revealed to Moses, march on to the sea with thy staff. So it parted, and each party was like a huge mound. And there we brought near the others, and we saved Moses and those with him all. Then we drowned the others. Surely there is a sign in this, yet most of them believe not. And surely thy Lord is the mighty, the merciful. Section 5, History of Abraham. And recite to them the story of Abraham, when he said to his sire and his people, what do you worship? They said, we worship idols, so we shall remain devoted to them. He said, do they hear you when you call on them, or do they benefit or harm you? They said, nay, we found our fathers doing so. He said, do you then see what you worship, you and your ancient sires? Surely they are an enemy to me, but not so the Lord of the worlds, who created me. Then he shows me the way, and who gives me to eat and to drink. And when I am sick, he heals me. And who will cause me to die, then give me life. And who, I hope, will forgive me my mistakes on the day of judgment. My Lord, grant me wisdom, and join me with the righteous, and ordain for me a goodly mention in later generations. And make me of the heirs of the garden of bliss, and forgive my sire, surely he is of the erring ones, and disgrace me not on the day when they are raised, the day when wealth will not avail nor sons. Save him who comes to Allah with a sound heart. And the garden is brought near for the dutiful, and hell is made manifest to the deviators. And it is said to them, where are those that you worship besides Allah? Can they help you or help themselves? So they are hurled into it. They are the deviators and the host of the devil all. They will say while they quarrel therein, by Allah, we were certainly in manifest error when we made you equal with the Lord of the worlds, and none but the guilty led us astray. So we have no intercessors nor a true friend. Now if we could but once return, we would be believers. Surely there is a sign in this, yet most of them believe not. And surely thy Lord is the mighty, the merciful. Section 6, History of Noah. The people of Noah rejected the messengers. When their brother Noah said to them, will you not guard against evil? Surely I am a faithful messenger to you. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. And I ask of you no reward for it. My reward is only with the Lord of the worlds. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. They said, Shall we believe in thee and the meanest follow thee? He said, and what knowledge have I of what they did? Their reckoning is only with my Lord if you but perceive. And I am not going to drive away the believers. I am only a plain warner. They said, if thou desist not, O Noah, thou wilt certainly be stoned to death. He said, my Lord, my people give me the lie. So judge thou between me and them openly and deliver me and the believers who are with me. So we delivered him and those with him in the laden ark. Then we drowned the rest afterwards. Surely there is a sign in this, yet most of them believe not. And surely thy Lord is the mighty, the merciful. Section 7, History of Hud. Ad gave the lie to the messengers when their brother Hud said to them, will you not guard against evil? Surely I am a faithful messenger to you. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. And I ask of you no reward for it. Surely my reward is only with the Lord of the worlds. Do you build on every height a monument? You only sport. And you make fortresses that you may abide, and when you seize as tyrants. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me, and keep your duty to him who aids you with that which you know. He aids you with cattle and children and gardens and fountains. Surely I fear for you the chastisement of a grievous day. They said, it is the same to us whether thou admonish or art not one of the admonishers. This is not but a fabrication of the ancients, and we will not be chastised. So they rejected him, then we destroyed them. Surely there is a sign in this, yet most of them believe not. And surely thy Lord is the mighty, the merciful. Section 8, History of Saleh. Thamud gave the lie to the messengers when their brother Saleh said to them, will you not guard against evil? Surely I am a faithful messenger to you. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. And I ask of you no reward for it. My reward is only with the Lord of the worlds. Will you be left secure in what is here, in gardens and fountains, and cornfields and palm trees, having fine flower spikes? And you hew houses out of the mountains exultingly. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. And obey not the bidding of the extravagant, who make mischief in the land and act not aright. They said, thou art only a deluded person. Thou art not but a mortal like ourselves, so bring a sign if thou art truthful. He said, this is a she-camel. She has her portion of water, and you have your portion of water at an appointed time. And touch her not with evil, lest the chastisement of a grievous day overtake you. But they hamstrung her, then regretted. So the chastisement overtook them. Surely there is a sign in this, yet most of them believe not. And surely thy Lord is the mighty, the merciful. Section 9, History of Lot. The people of Lot gave a lie to the messengers when their brother Lot said to them, will you not guard against evil? Surely I am a faithful messenger to you. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. And I ask of you no reward for it. My reward is only with the Lord of the worlds. Do you come to the males from among the creatures and leave your wives whom your Lord has created for you? Nay, you are a people exceeding limits. They said, if thou desist not, O Lot, thou wilt surely be banished. He said, surely I abhor what you do. My Lord, deliver me and my followers from what they do. So we delivered him and his followers all, except an old woman among those who remained behind. Then we destroyed the others, and we rained on them a rain, and an evil was the rain on those warned. Surely there is a sign in this, yet most of them believe not. And surely the Lord is the mighty, the merciful. Section 10, History of Shoaib. The dwellers of the grove gave the lie to the messengers. When Shoaib said to them, "Will you not guard against evil? Surely I am a faithful messenger to you. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. And I ask of you no reward for it. My reward is only with the Lord of the worlds. Give full measure and be not of those who diminish." And weigh with a true balance, and wrong not men of their dues, and act not corruptly in the earth, making mischief. And keep your duty to him who created you and the former generations. They said, "Thou art only a deluded person, and thou art not but a mortal like ourselves, and we deem thee to be a liar. So cause a portion of the heaven to fall on us, if thou art truthful." He said, "My Lord knows best what you do." But they rejected him. So the chastisement of the day of covering overtook them. Surely it was the chastisement of a grievous day. Surely there is a sign in this, yet most of them believe not. And surely thy Lord is the mighty, the merciful. Section 11, Prophets' opponents warned. And surely this is a revelation from the Lord of the worlds. The faithful Spirit has brought it on thy heart that thou mayest be a warner in plain Arabic language. And surely the same is in the scriptures of the ancients. Is it not a sign to them that the learned men of the children of Israel know it? And if we had revealed it to any of the foreigners, and he had read it to them, they would not have believed in it. Thus do we cause it to enter into the hearts of the guilty. They will not believe in it till they see the painful chastisement. So it will come to them suddenly while they perceive not. Then they will say, "Shall we be respited? Do they still seek to hasten on our chastisement? Seest thou, if we let them enjoy themselves for years, then that which they are promised comes to them. That which they were made to enjoy will not avail them. And we destroyed no town, but it had its warners to remind. And we are never unjust. And the devils have not brought it, and it behoves them not, nor have they the power to do it. Surely they are far removed from hearing it. So we call not upon another God with the law, lest thou be of those who are chastised. And warn thy nearest relations, and lower thy wing to the believers who follow thee. But if they disobey thee, say, "I am clear of what you do," and rely on the mighty, the merciful, who sees thee when thou standest up, and thy movements among those who prostrate themselves. Surely he is the hearing, the knowing. Shall I inform you upon whom the devils descend? They descend upon every lying, sinful one. They give ear, and most of them are liars. And the poets, the deviators, follow them. Seest thou not that they wander in every valley, and that they say that which they do not? Except those who believe and do good and remember Allah much, and defend themselves after they are oppressed. And they who do wrong will know to what final place of turning they will turn back. Chapter 27, Al-Naml, the Naml. Section 1, a reference to Moses' history. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, benignant, hearing God. These are the verses of the Quran and the book that makes manifest. A guidance and good news for the believers who keep up prayer and pay the poor rate, and they are sure of the hereafter. Those who believe not in the hereafter, we make their deeds fair seeming to them, but they blindly wander on. These are they for whom is an evil chastisement, and in the hereafter they are the greatest losers. And thou art surely made to receive the Quran from the wise, the knowing. When Moses said to his family, surely I see a fire, I will bring you news thence, or bring you there from a burning brand, so that you may warm yourselves. So when he came to it, a voice issued, saying, blessed is he who is in search of fire and those around it, and glory be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. O Moses, surely I am Allah, the mighty, the wise, and cast down thy rod. So when he saw it in motion as if it were a serpent, he turned back, retreating, and did not return. O Moses, fear not. Surely the messengers fear not in my presence, nor he who does wrong, then does good instead after evil. Surely I am forgiving, merciful. And put thy hand into thy bosom, it will come forth white without evil, among 9 signs to Pharaoh and his people. Surely they are a transgressing people. So when our clear signs came to them, they said, this is clear enchantment. And they denied them unjustly and proudly, while their souls were convinced of them. See, then, what was the end of the mischief makers. Section 2, History of Solomon. And certainly we gave knowledge to David and Solomon, and they said, praise be to Allah, who has made us excel many of his believing servants. And Solomon was David's heir, and he said, O men, we have been taught the speech of birds, and we have been granted of all things. Surely this is manifest grace. And his host of the jinn and the men and the birds were gathered to Solomon, and they were formed into groups. Until when they came to the valley of the Namel, a Namlite said, O Namel, enter your houses, lest Solomon and his hosts crush you while they know not. So he smiled, wondering at her word, and said, my Lord, grant me that I may be grateful for thy favor which thou hast bestowed on me and on my parents, and that I may do good such as thou art pleased with, and admit me by thy mercy among thy righteous servants. And he reviewed the birds, then said, how was it I see not Hudhud, or is it that he is one of the absentees? I will certainly punish him with a severe punishment, or kill him, or he shall bring me a clear excuse. And he tarried not long, then said, I have compassed that which thou hast not compassed, and I have come to thee from Saba with sure information. I found a woman ruling over them, and she has been given of everything, and she has a mighty throne. I found her and her people adoring the sun instead of Allah, and the devil has made their deeds fair seeming to them and turned them from the way, so they go not aright, so that they worship not Allah, who brings forth what is hidden in the heavens and the earth, and knows what you hide and what you proclaim. Allah, there is no God but He, the Lord of the mighty throne. Allahu Akbar. He said, we shall see whether thou speakest the truth or whether thou art a liar. Take this my letter and hand it over to them, then turn from them and see what answer they return. She said, O chiefs, an honorable letter has been delivered to me. It is from Solomon, and it is in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Proclaiming, exalt not yourselves against me and come to me in submission. Section 3, History of Solomon. She said, O chiefs, advise me respecting my affair. I never decide an affair until you are in my presence. They said, we are possessors of strength and possessors of mighty prowess, and the command is thine, so consider what thou wilt command. She said, surely the kings, when they enter a town, ruin it and make the noblest of its people to be low, and thus they do. And surely I am going to send them a present and to see what answer the messengers bring back. So when the envoy came to Solomon, he said, will you help me with wealth? But what Allah has given me is better than that which He has given you. Nay, you are exultant because of your present. Go back to them, so we shall certainly come to them with hosts which they have no power to oppose, and we shall certainly expel them therefrom in disgrace while they are abased. He said, O chiefs, which of you can bring me her throne before they come to me in submission? One audacious among the jinn said, I will bring it to thee before thou rise up from thy place, and surely I am strong trustee for it. One having knowledge of the book said, I will bring it to thee in the twinkling of an eye. Then when he saw it settled beside him, he said, This is the grace of my Lord, that he may try me whether I am grateful or ungrateful. And whoever is grateful, he is grateful only for his own soul. And whoever is ungrateful, then surely my Lord is self-sufficient, bountiful. He said, Alter her throne for her. We may see whether she follows the right way or is of those who go not aright. So when she came, it was said, Was thy throne like this? She said, It is as it were the same, and we were given the knowledge before about it, and we submitted. And that which she worshipped besides Allah prevented her, for she was of a disbelieving people. It was said to her, Enter the palace, but when she saw it, she deemed it to be a great expanse of water and prepared herself to meet the difficulty. He said, Surely it is a palace made smooth with glass. She said, My Lord, surely I have wronged myself, and I submit with Solomon to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Section 4, Saleh and Lot. And certainly we sent to Thamud their brother Saleh, saying, Serve Allah, then lo, they became two parties contending. He said, O my people, why do you hasten on the evil before the good? Why do you not ask forgiveness of Allah so that you may have mercy? They said, We augur evil of thee and those with thee. He said, Your evil augury is with Allah. Nay, you are a people who are tried. And there were in the city 9 persons who made mischief in the land and did not act aright. They said, Swear one to another by Allah that we shall attack him and his family by night, then we shall say to his heir, We witnessed not the destruction of his family, and we are surely truthful. And they planned a plan, and we planned a plan, while they perceived not. See then, what was the end of their plan? That we destroyed them and their people, all of them. So those are their houses fallen down because they were iniquitous. Surely there is a sign in this for a people who know. And we delivered those who believed and kept their duty. And Lot, when he said to his people, Do you commit foul deeds while you see? Will you come to men lustfully rather than women? Nay, you are a people who act ignorantly. But the answer of his people was not except that they said, Drive out Lot's followers from your town. Surely they are people who would keep pure. But we delivered him and his followers except his wife. We ordained her to be of those who remained behind. And we rained on them a rain. So evil was the rain on those who had been warned. Section 5, the faithful will be exalted. Say, Praise be to Allah and peace on his servants whom he has chosen. Is Allah better or what they associate with him? Part 20. Or who created the heavens and the earth and sends down for you water from the cloud? Then we cause to grow thereby beautiful gardens. It is not possible for you to make the trees thereof to grow. Is there a God with Allah? Nay, they are a people who deviate. Or who made the earth a resting place and made in it rivers and raised on it mountains and placed between the two seas a barrier? Is there a God with Allah? Nay, most of them know not. Or who answers the distressed one when he calls upon him and removes the evil and will make you successors in the earth? Is there a God with a law? Little is that you mind. Or who guides you in the darkness of the land and the sea, and who sends the winds as good news before his mercy? Is there a God with a law? Exalted be Allah above what they associate with him. Or who originates the creation and reproduces it? And who gives you sustenance from the heaven and the earth? Is there a God with a law? Say, bring your proof if you are truthful. Say, no one in the heavens and the earth knows the unseen but Allah, and they know not when they will be raised. Nay, their knowledge reaches not the hereafter. Nay, they are in doubt about it. Nay, they are blind to it. Section 6, the spiritual resurrection. And those who disbelieve say, when we have become dust and our fathers too, shall we indeed be brought forth? We have certainly been promised this, we and our fathers before. These are not but stories of the ancients. Say, travel in the earth, then see what was the end of the guilty. And grieve not for them, nor be distressed because of what they plan. And they say, when will this promise come to pass if you are truthful? Say, maybe somewhat of that which you seek to hasten has drawn nigh to you. And surely thy Lord is full of grace to men, but most of them do not give thanks. And surely thy Lord knows what their breasts conceal and what they manifest. And there is nothing concealed in the heaven and the earth, but it is in a clear book. Surely this Quran declares to the children of Israel most of that wherein they differ. And surely it is a guidance and a mercy for the believers. Truly thy Lord will judge between them by his judgment, and he is the mighty, the knowing. So rely on Allah. Surely thou art on the plain truth. Certainly thou canst not make the dead to hear, nor canst thou make the deaf to hear the call when they go back retreating, nor canst thou lead the blind out of their error. Thou canst make none to hear but those who believe in our messages, so they submit. And when the word comes to pass against them, we shall bring forth for them a creature from the earth that will speak to them, because people did not believe in our messages. Section 7, passing away of opposition. And the day when we gather from every nation a party from among those who rejected our messages, then they will be formed into groups. Until when they come, he will say, did you reject my messages while you did not comprehend them in knowledge? Or what was it that you did? And the word will come to pass against them because they were unjust, so they will not speak. See they not that we have made the night that they may rest therein, and the day to give light? Surely there are signs in this for a people who believe. And the day when the trumpet is blown, then those in the heavens and those in the earth will be struck with terror, except such as Allah please. And all shall come to him abased. And thou seest the mountains, thou thinkest them firmly fixed, passing away, as the passing away of the cloud, the handiwork of Allah, who has made everything thoroughly. Surely he is aware of what you do. Whoever brings good, he will have better than it, and they will be secure from terror that day. And whoever brings evil, these will be thrown down on their faces into the fire. Are you rewarded aught except for what you did? I am commanded only to serve the Lord of the city, who has made it sacred, and his are all things. And I am commanded to be of those who submit, and to recite the Quran. So whoever goes aright, he goes aright for his own soul, and whoever goes astray, say, I am only one of the warners. and say, Praise be to Allah. He will show you his signs so that you shall recognize them, and thy Lord is not heedless of what you do. Chapter 28, Al-Qasas, the narrative. Section 1, History of Moses. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, benignant, hearing, knowing God. These are the verses of the book that makes manifest. We recite to thee the story of Moses and Pharaoh with truth for a people who believe. Surely Pharaoh exalted himself in the land and made its people into parties, weakening one party from among them. He slaughtered their sons and let their women live. Surely he was one of the mischief makers. And we desire to bestow a favor upon those who were deemed weak in the land, and to make them the leaders, and to make them the heirs, and to grant them power in the land, and to make Pharaoh and Haman and their hosts see from them what they feared. And we revealed to Moses his mother, saying, Give him suck. Then when thou fearest for him, cast him into the river, and fear not, nor grieve. Surely we shall bring him back to thee and make him one of the messengers. So Pharaoh's people took him up that he might be an enemy and a grief for them. Surely Pharaoh and Haman and their hosts were wrongdoers. And Pharaoh's wife said, A refreshment of the eye to me and to thee, slay him not. Maybe he will be useful to us, or we may take him for a son. And they perceived not. And the heart of Moses' mother was free from anxiety. She would almost have disclosed it had we not strengthened her heart, so that she might be of the believers. And she said to his sister, Follow him up. So she watched him from a distance, while they perceived not. And we did not allow him to suck before. So she said, Shall I point out to you the people of a house who will bring him up for you, and they will wish him well? So we gave him back to his mother, that her eye might be refreshed, and that she might not grieve, and that she might know that the promise of Allah is true. But most of them know not. This is the end of my reading for today. May Allah forgive me if I've made a mistake. Allahu Akbar.
So beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much. Your reading was absolutely beautiful. It was so refreshing. How praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Sister Mariama. Is there anyone that has any comments today? If you have any comments, go ahead and unmute yourself. Any comments, please? Walaikum salam, Sister Victoria, go ahead.
So I did have one takeaway, and it was for chapter 26, verse 13. It says, And my breast straightens, and my tongue is not eloquent. Okay, no, never mind. But I will say, my breast straightens and my tongue is not eloquent. So send for Aaron too. And it made me think of the messenger and the minister. And what the words that the messenger said about the minister, about how well spoken that he was. And then I also thought about the book. I don't remember who wrote the book, but it made me think about the book that they have of the minister, where they explain how he was Aaron. So that's what that made me think of. But I was actually, my the thing that stood out to me was verses 34 and 35 of chapter 26. So chapter 26, verses 34 and 35. Pharaoh said to the chiefs around him, surely this is a skillful enchanter who desires to turn you out of your land with this his enchantment. What is it then that you counsel? So I'm going to read what I wrote. We are to be the living proof of what's possible with Allah. There will be people who do not believe due to their inability to understand your journey. Keep going and keep sharing. People's lack of belief in us is a reflection of them and not us. People see what they choose to see. Hence, settle on the best part. That's why it is of no concern. Okay, I'm mixing up my words, but it says that's why we shouldn't concern ourselves with the thoughts of others. And that's what that made me think of, because like when I walked in with this stick, you viewed it as a stick. But then when I change it to be a serpent, all of a sudden you're saying I'm playing tricks, you know? So he made the decision in his mind to view it as, you know, trickery, magic, or whatever, instead of just seeing it for what it is. And so this was really like an instruction to me specifically, like it doesn't matter, like all of the noise, the things that are external to us that we allow to keep us from executing or that keep us from doing the things that are required of us don't matter, because at the end of the day, whether good or bad, it's a choice that someone sees that in you, or it's a choice that someone recognizes that in you. And the perfect example of that is when we are taught to settle on the best part. That is an active choice that we make. Any situation that we look at is duplicitous. It has both good and bad. And depending on what we choose, that's what we see. And so we have to know that whatever someone sees in us is a reflection of themselves. Not to say that there can't be truth in what someone sees. However, it's still their choice to see that and to hold you to this quote unquote account of what they see, and how they perceive what they see. Yes, that stood out to me.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Victoria. That was a needed comment for sure. Thank you so much. I'm reading Sister Octavia wrote, I don't have comments about the reading, but I do have questions about what should be done before, during, and after reading the Quran. I know I have heard people say they kiss the Quran, they say something before while opening it. I hear some of us after reading asking for forgiveness if they've made mistakes while reading. I've heard some things earlier on that I can't recall right now, but I know my curiosity was raised. I hope this makes sense. Yes, ma'am. I know for the kissing of the Quran, I learned that from Sister Anissa. She said that the minister, before he reads the Quran, he says, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, and kisses the Quran front and back. And then he opens the Quran. That's something I learned. But I think you're also referring to what Sister Mariama said. So maybe Sister Mariama, you can expand on that.
Well, what I've learned, because there's so much to be learned and that can be shared, and there's so much dogma in religion that I guess I can only come from like my positioning with it, not a knowledge of where I've heard it be taught. And so for me, coming into the Nation of Islam was a way for me, who was born into Islam, not necessarily in the Nation of Islam, to really just open myself up to the wisdom, the book. The more I've read it, the more living it's become. And I've been on other calls where one thing I know from Islam, period, though, is the sacredness of the book, that it's Allah's words, especially when touched or when it's accompanied with the Arabic. And so I would never want to misconstrue Allah's words ever. And if I make a mistake, because I'm not perfect, I've taken that on because I've heard it before in other Quranic reading lines. And I've taken it on because I'm like, yes, please forgive me. I don't want to be the cause of someone listening without reading the book and there be a mistake. And one example of that is there's we read it earlier on. There's one chapter, I think maybe, I don't know if it's in Surah 2, but there's one part where the minister corrected in the Quran. And he said that it was in a believers meeting at some point, and actually during study group on Fridays as well, whenever we quote from that section, I wish I knew it right now, but it says those firmly rooted in knowledge. Hold on. None, it's something like none who knows the book except those who are firmly rooted in knowledge. And they say, but it's punctuation that the minister changed. And he said punctuation can change the entire meaning of a sentence. So that one error is living in the translation of in our book, and he corrected it. So when I see it, if I can remember it before the end of this call, I will put it in here, but it can change the whole entire meaning, because throughout this whole book, for instance, Allah says, like, do not associate none with me. But in that section where he corrects the grammar, it says like basically that Allah and those firmly rooted in knowledge, or it suggests that, and that's an evil suggestion. That would not be something that makes sense or fits. And that's why I think like Brother Imam Sultan is moving the believers to understanding and embracing our own language of Arabic. And so I'll stop there, because that's just where my personal choice to take that on, that when I'm done with a reading, I try to humble myself. When as far as like the kissing of the book, I've heard that too. I've only heard it though. So as far as my taking on of it, a practice that I've taken on is that if I need guidance and I have something troubling me in my mind and concerning my attention being on something in particular, I'll kiss the Quran, tap it to my head and tap it to my heart, not out of like, anything funny or weird or spooky, but just in terms of like humility. It's my spirit telling my body, like, connect right now to this book. Yeah, I'm not trying to have it be just ritual. I'm trying to have it really have meaning for me. So I'll tap the book to my head and to the back and open it up. And wherever it opens up, I submit to that section and the guidance in it. And so there's so much repetition in this book that there is always something good for me. And that's where like some of my spiritual like rituals come from. One more thing too, if I may add, because it's just on my head, I don't know if it's associated or not, but of something that like I've like maybe played with is the idea of and it stems from something with Mother Tainetta as well, like in a numbers class I had taken years ago, just learning numbers and the mathematics of the Quran is sometimes I'll take my like whatever year I am, so This year I'll turn 39. On my 39th birthday, I'll read Surah 39. Just certain things like that, just to create a more living relationship with the book. And I'll get my guidance that way a lot of times.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Mariama. Sister Victoria,
Thank
you
you.
wanted to say something?
Sister Mariama. You are a gem. Okay. I just want to tell that to you. In case you didn't know, you are truly a gem. So there was, I'm going to read what I put in the chat already, and then I'm going to add something because I think that the other part of what came up for me is right in alignment with what Sister Mariama shared. So I put in the chat that these readings have really been instructions to me in response to many issues that I've dealt with or am dealing with, and inshallah will be successful in dealing with. This has been the biggest example of the truth in the statement of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. When you find yourself in trouble, nurse from your Quran. And then when you went into the reading, the part when on chapter 3, verse 7, when it says, and none knows its interpretation save Allah and those firmly rooted in knowledge. So Brother Dimitri, I hope I do not ruin this brother's name. I think it's Brother Dimitri or Dimitri. I think it's Dimitri, the brother that wrote Nurse from Your Quran. Dang, what is this? Look, I'm gonna find this.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Victoria. Is there anyone that has any comments, please?
Okay, sorry, y'all. So it's my brother Dimitri Muhammad, and he wrote the book When You Get Into Trouble, Nurse from Your Holy Quran. Just released volume 2. He just did an interview on the Closing the Gap Network, and he was talking about how inside of the Quran it has stories or instructions for most issues that we may experience. And then he said, he did say that it's not all, but most. But he said, when we find ourselves nursing from the Quran, we are able to then put ourselves in a mindset to which we are able to apply the thought process of the Quran to issues that it may not be able to address. And that made me think about what you said, Sister Mariama, about those who are deeply rooted in knowledge from what is said in the Quran. Those who are deeply rooted in knowledge, it's like, if you think about people who are in a certain sport, they've been in a sport from young, right? They're thinking about that sport all the time. All of their analogies come from basketball. Say the sport is basketball, all of their analogies come from basketball. If they are sharing a lesson or anything like that, it's rooted in their fundamental understanding of basketball, because that's all that they've been knowing and trained on. And so, like, the more that we nurse on the Quran, the easier it will be for us to find inspiration from it, but then also, I don't want to say create instruction, because we're not the creators of anything, but to formulate instruction, even during times where we may not be able to get to our Quran or find what it is that we're looking for inside of the Quran. So thank you so much, Sister Miriam, for sharing that.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much. This was so good to hear and eye-opening. Yes, ma'am. Sister Laura said, wow, very true, well-structured. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sis, for that comment. And don't hesitate to unmute yourself and just share your thoughts whenever you are inspired to. For me, I wanted to share chapter 25, Al Furqan, verse 20, where I'm going to go back there real quick. 25, verse 20. It says, "And we did not send before thee any messengers, but they surely ate food and went about in the markets. And we make some of you a trial for others. Will you bear patiently? And thy Lord is ever seeing." And I looked for the definition of bear, and it's carry the weight of support. The second definition is endure, to endure. So that was interesting to me because I didn't read it this way before, where it says, "We make some of you a trial for others. Will you bear patiently?" And that bearing patiently, sometimes it's I feel like it's instead of judging the situation where I'm in the trial and I'm judging the situation, sometimes bearing patiently and not maybe not being so harsh at judging the situation, maybe bearing patiently will give a better outcome. But this made me think, like, it made my thoughts think about when there's a trial. Some of us are a trial for others. It can be our own family members or our friends, or even at the mosque, or like others. Some of us are trial for others, but the bearing patiently, it really encourages me to, like almost like Sister Victoria said earlier, settle on the best part of people would help me bear patiently. But yeah, that's all. It inspired me. Go ahead, Sister Victoria.
Sister Amadine, I'm so glad that you pointed that one out, because when I read that, it was like almost like a smack in the face, because it's like and I think me and Sister Octavia have talked about this before, about like just going through, dang, I can't say that. Please forgive me, Sister Octavia, because I'm going to say it. Like when you're going through a period of separation, and whether it's like with friends, whether it's with a spouse, whether it's with sometimes with your own self, a lot of it just seems so unbearable, and it seems so unfair, and it seems so unjust. And you make up all of these, you make up all of these things in your head, like, where was my part in the thing? You know what I mean? Where did I falter? You know what I mean? And then you start to pick apart the other person, or you start to pick apart things that you may have allowed, or things that you may have overlooked in the course of the relationship. And this was just like, and I think we kind of discussed this before in prior chapters, that like Allah is in control. There are things that He is putting in place that we will not understand until it is revealed to us. Like, there are things that took me, I want to say like 7 or 8 years, that when I look back and I'm like, oh, praise be to Allah, that in that moment you took me to my very knees so that I can stand where I am today. And so it's like, we make some of you trials for others. And that's not even in big issues, that's in small issues. When you see someone acting who we perceive, right? Because we can only see from our own vantage point other than themselves. That's a trial for us to say, I know that this sister or this brother committed to this mission. So am I going to speak truth to that and bring up something that they might be doing that may be perceived falsely? Or do I sit? Or do I go and talk about them amongst other people? Like, it's so many choices that we get to make in our day-to-day interactions with people that like either reveal ourselves to other people or reveal ourselves to ourselves. And so this piece right here was like, it goes back to what we've kind of said before, like, it doesn't matter to try to understand everything, because there are some things that we just will not understand until I'll say this because I don't want to be spooky about it, right? Until we have learned ourselves enough to increase in knowledge to understanding. Oh, that did something for me, because I have a habit of like making things spooky. Like, oh, Allah's gonna reveal it to you. It's not the spooky hand putting a spooky person putting a hand on your mind and unlocking something. It's exactly what we've been talking about for the last 2 days. When we increase in knowledge, we increase in wisdom, and more things can be seen. And so, like, acknowledge and move on until we come into the knowledge that will allow us to understand.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, beautiful, Sister Victoria. Thank you. That was very, very good. It also sparked our reading from not long ago about the wise man that Moses tried to walk with. And the wise man told him to, to not say anything because he doesn't understand. And that was the condition. He could follow him if he could just come and not say anything. But when he saw, like Moses would see something blatant that, hey, that's so wrong. And he would speak up and say, this is so wrong. But then the wise man had his explanation because he knew better, because he had knowledge. And Moses could not understand because he didn't have the knowledge. He didn't have a comprehensive knowledge. So that's part that thought. I wanted to share it. Any other comments, family?
I feel, man, the last part that Sister Victoria said about raising up in knowledge is I can't remember how she said it, but yes. Knowledge, growing in knowledge is the growth of wisdom. And I just bear witness to that so strongly. I know I had a trial in September of 2021, and it was shocking for a moment, but what ensued after that, because one thing I know about that time is I had really, as a woman, started studying a lot. And it's something that I had always wanted to do, is to study, but as a mother, as a new mother, I was like, there's no time for this. There's no, there's no way. But I mentioned this because I literally mentioned it to my husband last night, because we were going through a lot of the books that we've read in a span of a year and a half. And how I know that a lot of the trials that I've come through is because I've been grown in knowledge even if it's just reading one chapter a week. And I didn't realize that as a woman, it's our duty to stay studying, because what it has unlocked in my mind is unbelievable. Like, it really is. And that shock that I received, that trial in September 2021, has turned out to be one of the biggest blessings of my life. Glory be to Allah. One of the biggest blessings, because what ensued after that was a few weeks while I'm studying, mind you, right? Not thinking it's associated in any way, but at the same time, I'm like, no, this has to be because I'm studying. I'm getting this new knowledge, this new language that's helping me unlock life, the science of life, and my own holy book, that I say I follow or read or want to read, Supreme Wisdom. I started thinking in whole different ways because I was getting in new knowledge. It made me look at scenarios in my life, relationships in my life in a whole different way, that Allah was just speaking to me at like 3 a.m. I'd wake up and start teaching, like, where is this coming from? My husband, Lord have mercy, praise be to Allah for his patience, because I would just get up at 3 a.m. with just all this unlocked information, praise be to Allah. And I was looking at scenarios that I had previously looked at, because, well, growing up as a millennial, there's my reaction to stuff used to be like either critical, judgmental, or at a certain point when I felt justified, because I'd be very easygoing, but at a certain point I would get, nah, here's the proofs, and this person is wrong, and blah, 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 blah. And I would see, certain separations and not understand it. I'm even the product of parents who separated, and I wouldn't understand. I tried not to, because I've mentioned this before, like where I was like, well, it's y'all's decision. You know what I'm saying? It's y'all's life, but I don't want that on me. I desire to get married one day, that type of thing, right? And but I didn't realize that still there might be harbored or untouched, like, feelings or emotions or thoughts on things that I just wasn't touching, so I wouldn't get critical. But my point is that I started looking at things in a new way. It was this book that I was studying at the time. It's called New Slant on Life, from the Church of Scientology, but it really just gave me like a huge propellant into studying the books that that we've been given. It's called A New Slant on Life. A New Slant on Life. Yes, thank you. That's from L. Ron Hubbard. And I started seeing correlations between Hubbard and like just timeline correlations between the Nation of Islam, what's been given, just knowing that I'm chosen, and that the way I'm thinking just had to shift a bit, and the circumstances and the facts and the evidences didn't shift, but my perspective did. And what it did was allow me to be more humble, more to really see myself, and how I show up in the world, or how I even view the world. It allowed me to have more compassion. I would say that number one, compassion for sure, for situations, and just new understandings and realizations of, whoa, Allah is a great force, because it wasn't just the information in that book. It's what it helped take the rust off on my brain to have me be able to download what Allah was like trying to bang at my head at, And so I realized that, like, it was something my father said to me at that time, was like, on the road of knowledge, we shall never return. He told me to share that about for my son, but that's something as a family, we were like, oh, no, we're going to embrace that. On the road of knowledge shall we never return. And it's been the best road ever, because the glory comes back to Allah every single time when I'm able to look back and or look at scenarios at that time, especially because it was very unlocked at that time, where I was looking at stuff like, oh my God, the scenario did not have to be like that, but I see what Allah was doing. Everything is by Allah's permission, and who knows save Allah. So I'll just say, praise be to Allah. Like, glory be to him for real, because things are not always what they seem.
Beautiful, beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Sister Laura said, love that book. I took the marriage salvage too. Wow. I didn't even know they had that. Praise be to Allah. Thank you. Any other comments, sisters?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I wanted to just be a reminder, because something that you said, Sister Miriam, was like, I had the same thoughts. I came into the nation when I was pregnant with my second child. And for those who have children, that you know that there's a difference between, or I'll say it this way, there is a difference in the perceived difficulty that comes from joining the nation when you're actively bearing and rearing children versus before you are bearing and rearing children, in the way of study, in the way of, I'll even dare to say understanding. Because my perspective at one time was that, my husband has been in the nation much longer than I. And he came into the nation as a single man, no children, and he studied. That's just what he did when he wasn't in school, when he wasn't at work, he was studying. But when you're a mom, sometimes it feels as though you can't get that same amount of time. And I just want to be a reminder that we're on a call. For me, this call starts at 3 a.m. For others, it may start at 5 or 6. And we're on this call for an hour and 30 minutes every single day for the past 15 days. Inshallah, we have been inspired that after this, we do have the time to study. We do have the time to do whatever it is that we desire. We just have to be willing to sacrifice and make the time. Because this has been the best sacrifice by way of sleep that I've done. Because one thing that, this call is literally doing is unlocking my ability to really dive into the teachings with understanding. Because one thing I've struggled with, and I think over the last 6 months, a lot, well, not 3 months, a lot has really been preparing me for something. And I feel like once I'm at that point that he's preparing me for, it's going to be so monumental for me. And I'm crossing over that threshold of believing to knowing through this call when it comes to Allah being a man, or Allah being who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad. Because to me, I believe that to be true. But this call is taking because I grew up in church, and in church, they were taught a lot of spiritual, like spookism. And so I'm slowly being retrained out of that way of thinking. And so this is giving me real-time application in the way of the reality of Allah versus the falsehood of Allah that I've been taught for probably over 20 years of my life. And that's why it was important for me to reverse what I said earlier when I said when Allah gives us the understanding. No, the reality is when we increase in knowledge, we obtain understanding. It's not given to us. We attain it through work, prayer, and study. And and then that made me think about, and I just recently learned this too, that the 99 attributes of Allah, and if it's incorrect, correct me, okay? I'm still studying. But that the 99 attributes of Allah was not something that Allah showed up with. He worked to obtain and embody them step by step, attribute by attribute. So in that same way, we have to know that we're going to have to go through that same exact process if we indeed desire to become a God. It's not all going to be poured on us at one moment or one instance or one lesson. We have to be tried in order to obtain the fortitude and the wisdom that comes from overcoming a trial successfully. So I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna say this every day. Ahmadine, thank you so much, because this call is really assisting me in crossing that threshold of from belief to knowing. And I believe, I think it was the minister said that the one thing that, and I don't know the words, y'all, but I'm sure someone will know. The one thing that that will be our absolute saving grace will be the knowing that Allah came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. That's the thing that's going to save us when he departs. I believe that's what he said, y'all. But that makes so much more sense, because if we know that he came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, then we also know that we can obtain what is required to get through this, because he came in the person of, and we are all people that can do the same. So I'm overwhelmed, y'all. Not overwhelmed, but I'll say I'm full. I'm overflowing this morning, because this was the call. This was the one. But all right, I'll speak on y'all.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for your comments, Sister Victoria, Sister Mariama. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. She be bringing me out. Lord have mercy. Yes, so full, so full, so full, so thankful. I wanted to say that too, like while I was reading it, because I kept seeing, Allah loves the grateful. And I was like, oh, I'm thankful for this call, for allowing me to read this and remind myself this. There's no better reminder than reading the living word and seeing that, and Allah is assuring us. So thank you so much, Sister Amandine, and thankful to everyone for y'all spirits, because I'm telling you, y'all gird me up. Like my energy, after this call, there's no energy like the divine, for real. And I think that today is so special. And I was like, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this, but we started off today where I was like, yes, yes. Thank you for reminding me. We started on chapter 25, Al-Furqan, the discrimination. That is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where he can be found in this book. And so, praise be to Allah for sending this down to us, because this chapter is where we find the truth about him. Praise be to Allah.
And you said that's chapter 25, sis?
Chapter 25, Al-Furqan, the discrimination. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave him, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a distinguishing name than his teachers. So he's not just Muhammad, he's Farrakhan Muhammad. And Farrakhan, I think Mother Tainetta has done so much extensive work on the number 19 and unlocking the mathematics of the Quran. And a lot of it's on YouTube as well. But Surah 25, Al-Furqan, that's the root of Farrakhan. And it's the discrimination, or it can be translated as the standard, or you can think of it as a number 1, which represents Allah.
Oh, praise be to Allah. Thank you for that precision. that information that was more of a precision because yeah, I was excited too when I knew that we were going to start with Afrikaan because I told my daughter, that's the minister, that's the minister. But yes, ma'am, thank you so much for that. Do we have any other comments? Okay, please come back again tomorrow. Let's pray. Is there anyone that would like to pray as we conclude?
I can pray.
Okay, thank you.
Prayer. O Allah, I seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief, and I seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness, and I seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness, and I seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice thou me with what is lawful, to keep me away from what is prohibited, and with thy grace make me free from want and what is besides thee. Amen.
Ameen, Allahu Akbar.
Ameen. Allahu Akbar.
Have a beautiful day, sisters. May Allah bless your day. Love you so much. Try to have a little walk
And brother.
if you can. And brother, yes. And thank you so much for being there. Brother Shafi, Sister Kiaja, Sister Laura, Sister Hagar, Sister Jessica, Sister Victoria, Sister Octavia, Sister Mariama. All praise be to Allah and happy Savior's Day.
Happy Savior's Day.
Happy Savior's Day.
Happy Savior's Day.
Happy Savior's Day, y'all.
Happy Savior's Day.